That's right. We're right here at KICC Nairobi, where the Booked for Life event by Standard Group is happening. I am Branji, and welcome to this panel discussion, which we'll be discussing issues to do with ethics in our universities, ethics and leadership, particularly now that we are in an election year. I have with me quite a panel right here, a gentleman and a lady. Dr. Halima Saado Abdullahi, the Vice Chancellor of Umma University, and Dr. Tim Kiruhi, Vice Chancellor, International Leadership University. Lady, gentlemen, good to see both of you.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here, and good morning, our viewers.
Great, great. Don't hear from me a little bit, Dr. Halima.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and it's good to be here.
Great. We're going to just jump right into the conversation, but you can also tune in at KTN News KE and talk to us on those handles at Brian George KE, at KTN News KE, hashtag Booked for Life right here at KICC. We're coming to you live from this venue. I'm going to start with the lady, of course. We have seen some of the people or some of the leaders in the political class currently who have graduated from both of your universities. Some have taken courses, taken units, and we are seeing them today. But the Kenyan leadership is kind of questionable. Do you think it's time now to be or go heavy on the teaching of ethics and being ethical as a leader, even as we, inculcate curriculum and teach all these professional courses? I'm going to ask Dr. Halima to go on this one first.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, I think universities have a big role because if you look at our leaders in the country now, majority of them are graduates from high-standing universities in the country. And I believe that there's always, a relearning and rechanging the way we actually deliver our curriculums in the university to be able to have leaders who are actually, I call them transformational leaders, leaders who have a positive impact in the society. And as we see now, yes, we have leaders who are actually very transformative, and then we have leaders who their integrities and their ethics are in question. From where I'm sitting, I think my experience in the higher education is we have two main challenges. One is the curriculum, how we are actually developing our curriculums are mainly on the technical skills. So the students are our technical skills. If a student is an engineer, he can come out and he'll be the best engineer in the world. However, there's very limited emphasis on the soft skills. And because if you look at our university, and I don't know about my colleague here, you'll find that soft skills are either taught once in a semester or once in academic year. And then by the time the students are graduating, for example, with communication skills, maybe they've only done it twice. But you need some of these soft skills to actually survive and be able to lead and be a leader with integrity. The other thing that we are having is, if you look at how universities are being celebrated or how universities are being ranked, and for example, one of their biggest universities, like the University of Nairobi, that is, the highest in terms of ranking in the country, universities are being ranked with regards to their research output, their publications, the number of students they are graduating, but nobody is ranking these universities on how their graduates are actually impacting in the society. If somebody says so-and-so is for example, not a good leader because his ethics are questionable, we need to know he's a graduate of which university. And those universities have to be held accountable because we are the ones who are churning out these leaders out.
Allow me to stop in a track. So you would actually suggest that we have those metrics to evaluate leaders, or rather grade them with their integrity record?
Yeah, because university has played a role to actually produce this person, isn't it? If we are saying, for example, University K is the best, however, the graduates out there, it is not a reflection of what we are saying, then the universities have to be held accountable. Yes.
I'm going to ask Dr. Kiruhi the same question as you also take up on this one.
Thank you.
Are there graduates, and we can say this in hushed tones, are there graduates from your university that you look at today and then the leadership platforms and you say this one, you're disappointed in a way, as you respond to the same question about inculcating ethics in professional training?
Thank you very much. At the International Leadership University, our slogan is actually, our mandate is to develop leaders of integrity. So the question you're asking is right at the center of what we have set for ourselves. We know it's a very high calling, so to speak. It's not an easy thing to do in a country that otherwise believes that kidogo corruption is the way to go. But we've committed ourselves because we believe that this is what's needed for Africa's transformation. When you think about our country and Africa in general, our challenge is not resources. It is not skilled people, like you said.
Sure.
It is not infrastructure. Now we have much better infrastructure. It's not technology. We are almost leading in some areas of technology. It is that software, the societal software of integrity and ethics. So that's why we've chosen to respond to that as our mission statement. Now, what do we do? Maybe just to respond to that before I come, to talking about our output, is that we are very intentional about not only tackling issues of ethics. Yes, we teach that to every student, and we have several units actually that deal with ethics and responsibility and so on. But we also ensure that every student is mentored. And we work not only with our faculty and staff, we also work with actually professionals whose integrity we can vouch for, who are in the marketplace. Because we want them to be graduating aware that you can survive as a person of integrity, because that's it's a belief problem. Most Kenyans believe you can't make it unless you know some tall uncle, unless you cut corners and so on. So until we change that belief, we cannot go very far. So they work with people who are in the industry, in their industry, who tell them it's possible. I'm able to work at it. It's not easy, but it's possible.
Okay.
So we are already doing that in terms of mentorship. The other thing we do is also a community service program. In fact, we'll be having one in July, where again we invite all our students to go on an opportunity to go and engage with the community. And because we are trying to help them realize that the skills you are learning are not just for yourself.
True.
It is actually to help you be of service to this country by serving some of the community needs. And we'll go to marginal areas where there are challenges, and they begin to reflect on how can what they have learned help them contribute. Because I think the other challenge we have as universities sometimes is the ivory tower mentality, whereby you learn a lot of theory, but when you come to the ground, as they say, ground, we don't need different. So we want them to be aware right from their first year. We don't wait for them to graduate. So we want them to demonstrate that. So to your question, we want them to demonstrate that leadership while they are students, and even later on. And we've been encouraged by some of them that are actually doing things even beyond what we would have expected as students first. And then when they graduate, we also have some good role models. So yes, we are no angels by any means in a real world, but part of our requirement for graduation is that you have demonstrated character. And if we are questionable about it, we actually hold back. We do have one right now we are working through, not to destroy them, but to mentor them so that we can improve those areas. So it's important to us that the output we have into society are people whose integrity we can vouch for.
It is much like a progressive kind of inculcating of this, ethics and everything. But I love the fact that you brought out the issue about the marketplace, because I asked about the political class quite a lot. But let's look at the bare minimums, the bare fundamentals. According to Dr. Kirui, who is a leader with integrity? The bare minimums, just like the political class would tell you, these are our irreducible minimum.
That's true. I think integrity can be defined simply as, who I am in the light is who I am in the dark. Who I am when I'm in the public view, like now, is who I'll be in private. There's that consistency, that I'm the same person. But also it's connected to, of course, your commitment to values that uphold certain minimum values, so to speak, and one of which is, of course, the commitment to other people that I'm there for the public good, the commitment to doing what is fair and just, so that I'm not taking advantage, whether it's of my office or, and so on, which is, I guess, the challenge we have with the political class, and so on. And having these people who have committed to this value system so that they have boundaries. There are things they will do or not do, because those would otherwise compromise their integrity. Is very important that we have leaders and even citizens and so on. Because the challenge is not just the leaders, by the way. I know the average person would say that Kenya is messed up by the few political leaders, the 5,000 or so of them. They are not very many. But are you telling me that the other 41 million or 45 million are good people and all the 5,000 bad people?
If I were a preacher, I'd tell you there are remnants. Yes, go ahead.
That is true. That is true. There are good people both in politics but also in society. But I think the question is, and this is also a challenge to media. Let's also, uphold. Let us also give airtime to people who are doing it right. Amazing. Many times in this country, if you want to get publicity, do something awkward, and crazy. You get all the attention of media.
Okay.
It is, but those people who are doing the right thing sometimes get very little airtime. So we also need to reverse that as a value in society.
But you see, it's our culture. I mean,
Yeah.
even the leaders who get caught up in scandals are the ones who we elect.
Yeah.
Is it a cultural thing? Hold that thought while I talk to Dr. Halima on this one. You started on the curriculum. You talked about it just in bits. And there are people who opine that leaders are born, leaders are not made. Others, the reverse is true. But what are some of the skills, what are some of the programs that universities across the board, across the country, and tertiary institutions should now start inculcating in their curriculum to, at least spur more leaders and make leadership a much more fundamental thing to have in one's life? Do you think we should also include it in CBC? Anyway, I don't know. You tell me. What should we develop?
No, I think I'll just pick up from my colleague, Dr. Kirui. In terms of leadership, first of all, as universities, and I speak as universities across, not just a specific university, and I take an example of Uma University where I come from, is we need to have graduate attributes. When somebody is coming out of Uma University, how will you know this person is from Uma Universities? What attributes this person is supposed to have? And even if we link it to CBC that you're saying silently, I am very proud of CBC, so I won't be silent about it. If you link it from CBC, the universities now are working towards something called outcome-based learning. So you link the competence with the outcome now. What do you want our graduates to look like? And one of the things that we must put into that is issues around integrities and ethics. Okay, I am expecting that, for example, in Uma University, one of the attributes is a responsible global citizen. Once you have that responsibility, a sense of responsibility, of course, integrity will come in. What are you doing when nobody is watching you? When you're given a role to play, what do you do about that role? So issues around mentorship, issues around linking the students at the university level with leaders that we are saying, for example, the leaders that actually have very good, moral values. They are very, their ethics is very high. Those are the leaders we need to link our students with in terms of learning the practical experience of being a leader with, high moral values, integrity, and ethics. So I think for us is now to get a balance between the practical skills or the technical skills that we teach our students in the university, including the experience in the ground. They say the ground vituni different. I might come out with all, I've been mentored, I've been taught what is to be honest and things like that. But then when I hit the ground, things are different. I'm given this responsibility, and the next day I have a long queue of people waiting outside my office who want favors from me. And they're powerful people. I usually use this expression, power from above.
Okay.
So now that's when you realize the ground is different. So then how do we prepare these learners for the ground that is very different? It's actually celebrating, and I'll still come back to what Tim said. Media needs to start celebrating also the leaders who are doing good. There's nothing like bad publicity.
True.
If you start, for lack of a better word, showing, reporting about somebody who's not doing the right thing, but he's always in the media, people will want to be like that person. So even the media has a responsibility. While you celebrate somebody who has made a mistake, and I don't even want us to celebrate. In fact, we should ignore them totally. Let's start celebrating people who are doing the right thing, and they're in this society, including the political class. Yes.
Amazing. Let's go back to the marketplace with you, Dr. Kirui, and give an example, because I asked questions best from illustrations. Bran graduates from, for example, International Leadership University, gets a job somewhere in an NGO or in a bank or something, and then they get there, but the boss wants them to do the work at whatever cost. Regardless, you get me those files, even if you have to go bribe somebody, get me those files, Brian, whatever it is you have to do, I need those files. I need those figures of accounting cooked because our financial year is ending, and we need to give the shareholders an impression that we're making the best. What do you tell a graduate today about that kind of an approach towards their professional life?
Thank you. It is not possible to be ethical unless you're willing to pay the price. And the ultimate price is not just losing a job.
Please say that again.
Yes.
It is not ethical.
Possible to be ethical if you're not willing to pay the price for it. And the ultimate price is actually death. It's not just losing a job. That's a bad thing.
Wow.
Much worse is to be willing to do that. In my own life, when I've taken up responsibilities, I've always had that as part of, at the back of my mind, that this could be the very last time I'm playing a role. But once you have no fear of death, you actually now cannot be intimidated.
Your conscience is clean.
You are now free. So our goal is to help our students to be free, so that they are able to be people of integrity.
Amazing.
And that you have to show them that. But we share our own examples. We know that's why we have the mentorship program. We also help them to connect with people who are paying that price, as I said, in the marketplace. And they're able to say, yes, I lost contracts here, I lost tenders here, I lost a job here.
But I did the right thing.
But I did the right thing.
Dr. Halima, they say the end doesn't justify the means. Talk to us about that.
Maybe I just pick up from what Dr. Kirui
Yes,
said.
please, yeah.
You have to be ready to pay, the ultimate price. And if I just pick up from the student, in the university you also have student leadership, because leadership starts in the institutions of learning, including even primary and high school. And in my university specifically, the student council, I engage them even with difficult conversations. For example, when a decision has been made by management or it's a policy to implement a certain thing, and the students are not happy, of course students will start making noise. Then how do you communicate with these students to show them that this is the ultimate thing that needs to be done and it comes with a price? So for me, continuous dialogue, communication is very key to show that these students, especially the student leaders, that this is how things are done, and when things are difficult and it must be done, it must be done. So are you ready to pay the price? And as Tim said, we've had, I think both of us have been higher position than even what we're holding now. And sometimes Kenyans will tell you, you are in this position at hukufaidika, because you didn't accept to be bribed or to take the wrong decision. And if you're ready to be happy with what you're doing and you're doing right, then I think that is the best way to go. But then, how do we ensure that that happens to our students? Because you see, out there, they are seeing so-and-so who has done ABCD, is vying again. Sorry. He's vying again, and he's being elected, he's being celebrated. We need to tell them, the way you're saying, does the end justify the mean? At the end of the day, because at the end of the day, you will be in your corner one day, and you will be reflecting back on what the decisions you made and how it has impacted in the lives of the people you've left behind. And are you happy with that? And I'll come back to your second question, was who is a leader with integrity? What you do when no one is watching you.
That's your true self.
That is your true self. Okay. Yes.
Great.
Just a comment on CBC.
Go ahead, Dr.
I wanted to add something that I'm very hopeful. Although we are in a bad place as a society right now, the mission of CBC, or the vision of CBC, is to raise, to empower, to raise an empowered, ethical, and engaged citizenry. That's what they say. I mean, I know there are challenges in implementation and so on, but if we actually stay with it and we don't lose the sight of that vision, that's where that's a Kenya software problem.
And those are normally transitions, really.
Yeah. Engaged, empowered, ethical citizens. If we can get that and get it right, then I think we'll begin to heal some of the challenges of this country. But we must stay with it. We must make sure, of course, the resources go to the right place and so on. And of course, have the role models as well, because it is not necessarily, they may not be having them in the immediate setting. Another internationally shaped university, we've set some of the same goals. We want our graduates to have character, to be competent in what they do, but also to be contextually engaged. They know what's going on and they're able to bring transformation or change. So we celebrate those of our graduates who go, even if they pay the price, but they tell us that I was trying to reform this particular company or industry to bring change. Those are our heroes and heroines, and we want to celebrate them.
Great. Let's begin to wind up this conversation, Dr. Halima. And there's the conversation about the old versus the young. We're in an election year, and everything is being peddled around. Those who believe, of course, that leaders are made, leaders are not born. And we are seeing for the very first time quite a huge chunk, a huge population of young leaders who are coming up, and people are aspiring to be leaders at various capacities, leaders at various positions. What do you tell the young leader to watch out for, even as they go into this thing that has been branded dirty? All right, the politics is a dirty game. That's a common phrase in our society. The question then becomes, what should they watch out for so that they do not compromise, they do not let down the society that they saw, that so holds hopes for them. I mean, we're looking at a young person as young as 24 years old, and for the first time, and I say this is a lot of respect, she's a lady who's just come out of campus, 24 years old, has been nominated to be a Bomet women rep in a political party right now. What do you tell such kind of leaders?
I think for such a leader, first of all, what I'll tell him or her is that they should not lose the vision that brought them to that place. They should not lose focus. They should stay course. The eyes on the prize. Because I believe that most of the young leaders, including even the most mature one, when they are coming into the leadership position and even political position, they always have a vision. And they always want to do the best. But then when they come into the ground, the way they say the ground is different, then that's when the interferences happen. But then again, you should not lose the eye on the prize, yes. And you have to be ready to pay the ultimate prize. I'll always adore.
Sorry. Okay, I'll let Dr. Tim go on that one too, as we sort of that.
Sure. I think very, very important. First of all, I think for me it's hopeful that younger people can emerge and that our political system is, because it's largely been patronage. Sure. I think the fact that now we can get younger people who are able to emerge as leaders is very hopeful for the country. So for me, that's a positive step. And it means that people are no longer looking at just at money, or even experience is good, but it's not the only factor.
True.
The fact that somebody has been there forever. So I think the fact that people are looking at qualities of the individual. And I think what I'm hearing also from the ground is that in many places, people are not even considering parties anymore. They're actually looking at the individual. And they're saying it doesn't matter the party they come on, we want the right individual. So I think that's a maturity that's coming to our politics. And I'm personally pleased about that. And I think, like she said, of course, it's not easy. There is no field that anyway that is easy. But especially, of course, the issue with politics is that it's big money and publicity and so on. So managing those things so that they don't destroy you. So my hope is that this kind of a young person would be willing to have a mentor. Maybe somebody who's retired from politics or somebody who is just able to speak into their life and they are able to maintain that accountability group. I do have some young people that I've mentored who have actually entered the political race, and I'm very happy for them.
Nice.
My hope is that they don't become too busy to be mentored, so that, or too big to be mentored, that now they can maintain that accountability relationship.
To their PA.
That's the thing. So that's my hope. So I think it's a positive thing, it's a hopeful situation, and it does say that yes, leaders can be made. I mean, they are born leaders, but most of us have been made. That's why we are in training, leaders, because we believe they can be made.
Amazing. Touch on the marketplace too, the corporate sector, not just in the public sector too. I'd like you to touch on that. What should they watch out for? Because I gave an illustration here. Get me those files, whatever the cost. If you have to bribe a judge, whatever, just get me those. Cook me those books.
That's a good point.
The marketplace.
I've been in the space of promoting ethics. So one of my previous roles before my current role was to lead an organization called the Ethical Leadership Network. And what we found out, any business that goes to the second generation is only those which are founded on ethics. The others can thrive for one generation. You can bribe and cut your way and so on. Those businesses never thrive. But most business people dedicate a lot of their life to building their empire, so to speak.
True.
Why build an empire that is going to collapse on you anyway? So why don't you just do it right? It may be slower in growth. It may not be as big as the competitors, but you know that this one will outlast you. And when you are old and gray, you'll be pleased that what you built is still doing what you set out to do. There is no future for those who are doing the shortcuts. They thrive only for a short while. They never go the distance.
Amazing. Wow. Let me have finish your point, the one I asked you earlier on.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
I think for the young leaders, for me, my real interpretation of integrity and value and doing the right thing is a leader who is ready to look at power. You look at power directly and you tell the power, no, this is wrong. So if our young leaders and even the older leaders, if they're able to look at power and say, what you're asking me to do is wrong, then we are on the right path.
We are safe with that. I'm going to have both of you go. Have your last word on this one. Talk to the young, wapi camera nyumbani. There you go. Whichever is you're facing.
Thank you.
There's a young person watching this and they're fascinated with this conversation and they need the last impartation even as this show comes to an end today. I'm going to have Dr. Halima go first on this one also. Your last word to young aspiring leaders in under 2 minutes.
Okay. So to the young aspiring leaders, there is hope. And I want all the young people to actually vie for this leadership position across all levels. In leadership, it doesn't mean you have to be the CEO. For anyone who has been given a responsibility, is a leader at that particular level. Just be brave enough. And I'll repeat again. Look at the eye of the power and tell the power, no, this is wrong, I am not doing it.
Great.
Thank you. Being gifted, being skilled can take you places. It can open doors for you, but only character will maintain you there. So take time not only to become skilled in what you do, but also to build your character, because it is that character that will give you the power to last the distance, to persevere, to be able to stay strong in the face of challenges which are going to come, during the course of your career.
Amazing. Many thanks, my panelists. Right here, we've been speaking to two vice chancellors. One, Dr. Halima of Uma University. Hope I got that right. It's
Yes.
Uma University, right? Yeah, Vice Chancellor, Uma University. Good to have you on board. Thank you so much. And of course, I've been speaking to Dr. Tim Kirui of the International Leadership University. The conversation doesn't end here. The conversation about leadership never really ends. We have to keep on having a cycle and conversations that are ongoing, repetitive, for us to get the best of the best. And we have a lot of hope in the young people. Of course, as we have said, if you're a young person in university, consider having some ethics in what you do, and even as you pursue that professional course. And that's why we end it right here. I am Brian Jojotieno. I'm gonna hand you back to studio, but the Booked for Life event continues right here at KICC. Come, let's mix. Come, let's interact. Let's talk about some of these things, and let's talk about your career and your future and what you want to pursue. You're going to meet amazing exhibitors right here who are going to show you various things in your career life. That's why we end it right here. Many thanks for your time. The conversation continues.